Hello and welcome to the Grow VC Everyone Funding Startups podcast. Great to have everyone back after the holiday hiatus that we just took. I'm your host, Brett Bivens, and with me today is David Drake, the founder and chairman of LDJ Capital in New York City. David has a ton of professional experience that really spans numerous industries, both finance related and otherwise. And so, we'll really kind of dig into all that and kind of what he's working on now throughout the course of the show. David, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Brett, to have me. I'm excited about being able to be part of this.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you as well. So I gave kind of a minor introduction there about what you do, but not too in depth. So maybe to start us off, can you give us a little bit more detailed background of your your career trajectory and where you've been?
Well, for the last 10 years, my venture capital firm, LDJ Capital, has been making investments in early and late stage private companies. And we also have an advisory division in private equity funds and fund of funds, both domestically and internationally. But one of the investment we made that we're going to be discussing today is into the Soho Loft Capital Creation Series, where we, for the last year, have had event educating the population, the decision makers, the institutional investors, the broker-dealers included, as well as the legal and accounting professionals, but also the entrepreneurs and the crowdfunding startups out there on how we need to fix the broken market where financing for private companies are not in place as it used to be. And not only do we have to identify what the problems have been, we have to find solutions to it. So we're doing one of our events that's going to be on crowdfunding. And, part of what we want to do at the Soho Loft Capital Creation is to make sure, A, that we educate and show what kind of infrastructure is needed in the new private company marketplace is evolving. And really, we need to define what's the private company marketplace and what's really going on. In layman terms, in 2008, when the crisis happened, the first thing that happened that startups noticed was banks suddenly said, we're not giving any loans to anybody. And suddenly early stage and startups had problems getting loans from the bank. Same time, a lot of the debt funds disappeared. So all the financing that was available dried up really quickly. There was almost 2,700 VCs at that time that put money into startups. I'd say a good 2,300 of them ended or died or could not get any more LPs invested. So suddenly all the resources for financing for early stage and startups disappeared, overnight. And today we need to create new jobs in the US. And how do you do that? Well, you need to make it easier for people to get a loan to grow their business, because this early stage high growth companies are the ones who are going to be hiring more people. So our argument is, look, what's broken? How do we fix it? What's needed to be done to create a new marketplace? And we're not talking about replacing the IPO market. We're talking about creating a new place where people can buy and sell shares that they already own. Right now, SEC is making it too complicated and too difficult to do that. And obviously, the biggest success story is Facebook. But there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of smaller companies and startups. And specifically in crowdfunding, how do you get that financing to them to get them started? So the second thing the Soho Loft wants to do is, also advise the companies how they would fit into this new marketplace and who are the online game players that they could use as a service. There's several of them, from Expert Financial to the most famous one, Second Market, to Gate Technologies and Shares Post. Well, what's the difference? How do you kind of navigate between them? And that's the second part of TSL, to advise and supply IR services for private companies growing quickly. And of course, the third one is to bridge and build that infrastructure between broker-dealers, institutions, startups, seed funders, investors, CEOs, lawyers, accountants, and kind of show them how it all can be done from the beginning to the end. And obviously, crowdfunding to us is the beginning. And there are a couple of bills in the House that passed that we're very excited about. And to maybe talk a little more about that, we are excited because on January 23rd, we have Congressman Patrick McHenry presenting for us, and he's the brainchild behind the crowdfunding bill, so we call it. It's actually the Entrepreneur Access to Capital Act, number 2930, was passed about 2 months ago. And everybody got really excited because what it really does in layman term is, SEC says you can't solicit the general population. This one would say if you are a crowdfunding organization, you should get an exemption so you can solicit the general population and allow you to get people to put money into your company so you can own equity in a smaller startup. That's really in general terms the big deal there. Now, there's been other bills. Now the Senate has to vote on it, and if the Senate votes on it, then it's enacted into law. But the Senate is coming up with their own bill, so it's a little convoluted what's happening because other senators are coming up with their own versions of the bill, and we're going to get a nice, beautiful